Hello guys, so today we're going to take a look at the RG-99. So the RG-99 is the hardware of the RS-90, at least internally, but the shell, screen and buttons of the RG-300. So it's a bit of a weird mismatch of things, but the results aren't really much better than the RS-90. And it does have several hardware flaws because of that. So for example, the screen requires double lining, but the IPU, which is found inside, does not support RGB upscaling, so you will lose some performance when doing the double lining. But let me show you how it performs like. So we'll take a look at the Atari Link's emulator handy, which I have just bought it recently. And we're going to play some Raiden or Raiden, I'm not sure. And as you can see, after a few optimizations, it does work fine, so nothing too fancy. So this was the Atari Links. There aren't a lot of good games on the Atari Link, sadly, but you know, if you want to play that platform, now you can. And here is Pico Drive. So this is the version improved by IREX, which is a German guy, which added a dynamic recompiler for 32X. So we'll take a look at Mega Drive as well as 32X games. So let's play some Wolfenstein 3D, the Mega Drive version. So, and as you can see from the frame rate, it runs pretty good. Now on the RG-99 compared to the RS-90, you must be careful with the overclocking because this does not overclock as reliably as the RS-90. I'm not sure why, but this could be down to the motherboard or the higher power consumption from the screen, because this is a TN screen and this one is an IPS panel, so it does look nice, but you know, it's kind of overkill for this hardware. But as you can see, Mega Drive does run fine, but let's try something a bit more heavy on the hardware. No, not that one. Yes, that one. Panorama Cotton. And you know, when I saw this game, I was really wondering if it was like a game for the Mega Drive, but you know, it was. Oops. There we go. Yeah, as you can see, the frame rate already struggles, but you know, the emulator automatically skips frames when needed, so the experience isn't too bad despite that. And it's barely noticeable on that game. So yeah, Mega Drive games, they run pretty fine. But now let's take a look at 32X. So let's try Doom. And you can already hear the sound skipping. So here it runs, well, it could run better, but it's playable, or almost playable. Let's try something a bit more heavy. So virtual racing. And yeah, it's unplayable now, but you're gonna see why. So that you can see. So yeah, you can pretty much forget about 32X, at least for now. But you know, for Mega Drive games, it runs them decently. Now let's take a look at PC Engine. Street Fighter 2. So let's take. Come on, focus. There we go. So PC Engine games, they run fine, so nothing to see really. Super graphics games, those do not run fine. They will skip some frames, but most PC Engine games, well, some CD games also struggle on that one. But unfortunately, I haven't tried to increase the performance of it yet. So let's take a quick look at games now. So Gambari. Alright, so runs good. Unlike the RS-90, which cannot even run the game. And so here's something a bit more interesting. So Easy RPG was like a real challenge to try to get to run on that thing, and it still doesn't run perfectly, unfortunately. I had to make some concessions. So for example, the sound effects, they they all play at the wrong speed, and that's because there's no resampler compiled in, and because the resampler was also consuming CPU time. Well, actually, what takes most of the CPU time is the MIDI player. And yeah, in my case, it would also sometimes do this. I believe this happens because I have overclocked my hardware. So yeah, unfortunately it doesn't run that well. And I thought about disabling audio for DZRPG. So now you can easily change the overclocking settings. So if I can put it by default to 360 megahertz, or I can increase it all the way up to 456 megahertz. In my case, it only runs okay at 420 megahertz, and sometimes at that speed. So yeah, unfortunately, easy RPG is out of question for most games. I've still provided the port on my GitLab page, of course, but and you can already see it is skipping frames because the text isn't as smooth as it should be. So that's about it for the RG-99. So my thoughts: don't buy that thing. So instead, get something like an RG-350M, or even an LDK like this one, the LDK with the much better SOC, but still worse than the RG-350M or whatever, the Engineer GZ 4560. That one has a hardware FPU. This one doesn't. This one also has IPU with RGB upscaling. This one doesn't, and so on. So it also has double the clock speed as well. So it does make a huge difference. But even with that difference, this one is still not enough for playing Super Nintendo games, and you cannot even think about playing those on the RG-99. So it's a bit of a crap handheld. But if you do have one, make sure to put OpenDingux on the RG-99, because otherwise you will literally have a useless piece of shit. Like, I could be holding in my hand right now a big turd, and that would be the same thing. But thankfully, thanks to the new custom firmware, you can at least try to get something useful out of it. And I do intend on porting more things to the RG-99, so stay tuned, and bye for now.